Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Brutes and Savages, 1977. Just checking on my blister there. This is going to be another Mondo flick. Supposedly takes place in Uganda border. But it looks more like somebody's backyard in the Florida Everglades. So that's the first half of the movie. A bunch of very unauthentic looking natives wearing Ultimate Warrior paint. They have this ritual where they walk across the river at risk of getting eaten by an alligator. Unfortunately, every third shot of this scene is a rubber alligator head, and every fourth shot of the scene occurs in a swimming pool with chlorine blue type water. Not the stuff that you'd expect to see in Uganda. So there's that. People think that's funny. But overall, this gets a 2.8 rating on IMDb. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of Mondo, but I did enjoy the beginning of the South America trip. By the way, the director and the writer is Arthur Davis. He also did all the posters and lobby cards. They look really cool. And he even did a book on his so-called adventures. I think it's mostly fiction, though. Although he does say at the beginning of the movie that all of the events are factual, even though they're staged. Boy, that gives it some authenticity, doesn't it? And then he does all the narration. It's kind of an annoying, boring type Brit voice, I guess. He also plays a cultural anthropologist. He's a terrible actor, by the way, when he delivers his only one line in the beginning of the movie. So getting back to the South America part, where he goes to Peru and Bolivia, I guess. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there about cocaine, and the first scene is incredible with the turtle wedding bride. She's got nice, comely little breasts, black nipples, hairy armpits, hairy beaver, and a tiny little bum. And she looks very young in this. So she's the reason to watch. There's also a scene where they go up in the mountain to find the alleged remnant of Inca. Gee, I didn't know those people still existed. I knew they had Indians up in the mountains, but I didn't know they were doing this kind of stuff, like having sex with a llama. Well, it's simulated sex at the end. Yes, that's intended to shock. But the scene that shocked me the most in this movie, despite all of the animal disembowelment and gross out animal scenes, actually the one that grossed me out the most was when the Indians were simulating some kind of war between tribes or something. And the last ceremony was the Indian champion throwing rocks at the other guy with his leather sling. Now this rock happened to hit the champion in the head, resulting in a severe concussion. But of course, Arthur Davis was prepared. He had a physician waiting in Lima to perform brain surgery on this Indian champion rock thrower. So there's a rather lengthy brain surgery scene where they do some mental floss and some carving out of the cranium, peeling it back, as it were. That scene grossed me out. That wanted me to make it turn it off. There's also a ridiculous scene where, well, there are a couple of ridiculous scenes. Supposedly, the turtle wedding was forbidden by the tribal chief to be filmed, but they filmed it anyway, out in the open with close-up shots and everything. Oh, so they broke the law. Wow. Arthur Davis is dangerous anthropologist. And then he says that he's not allowed to go into the Hugh Hefner ancient pornography museum where the natives used to make pornographic pottery and kitchenware. So there's that, a lot of ridiculous scenes, and I don't know, this is just exploitation at its best. It's definitely one of the better Mondos, I'd say. But that being said, I'm not too much into animals killing each other. Reminded me of watching projector film in grade school or something. Anyways, not exactly my cup of tea. I give it 3 out of 5 stars just for the those two scenes, the brain surgery and the turtle wedding. If they had just cut out all the nonsense with the combat shock type of scenes, you know, where in combat shock, they were pretending like it was Vietnam, but it was actually some guy's backyard. If they just eliminated all that Africa stuff, gone straight to the Indian people in Peru, or actually the Indian people in Bolivia and Peru, I think it would have been even better. I'm much more interested in Incan culture than some dude eating a raw crab in somebody's backyard. A bunch of wrestling war paint. Looks like a professional wrestler rather than hunter-gatherer from Africa. Anyway, if you're a cultural anthropologist, you might get a kick out of this, but I had to take that class when I was in college just so that I can get my, just so that I didn't have to take psychology or sociology. So it was like the lesser of 3 evils, cultural anthropology. Get to learn about all the taboos, like the ones that are promoted in this flick. But yeah, like I said, the brain surgery scene didn't have to do with anything Mondo per se. It just kind of flowed with the plot, and it was one more reason to shock people, I guess, to show that open brain surgery. That really disgusted me most. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was. I thought it was okay. A lot of the narration I had to pause and rewind because it's so monotonous, and this movie's almost 2 hours. So you definitely got to sit through a lot of wildlife footage and boring narration to get to the good parts. But anyways, I'd say it's about the same as the one that Boris Karloff narrated, the Mondo. Was it Mondo Mod or something? I don't remember. Anyways, it's been so long since I've seen one of these Mondos. But it's supposed to be travel-esque. Yeah, right. They bought the plane ticket to Florida, and they called it Africa. Where it's the back of some Walmart parking lot, back in the jungle area. It doesn't really look like jungle anyway. It just looks like, I don't know, some wildlife preserve or something in back of Walmart. So, yeah. I like the background music. It's got the wah wah guitar in the background and some disco type stuff, from 1977. It's like going back in the time capsule. Arthur Davis is the cultural anthropologist with his bell-bottom pants. And those things would be so dirty if he was really out in Africa. He'd have mud all over his bell-bottoms. But it looks very clean and neatly pressed, making it all the more fake. Just like the natives look fake. A bunch of muscle guys in wrestling war paint. Out in somebody's backyard. Swimming pool even. Yeah, the crocodile scene is bizarre because it's very poor editing. The first 2 shots will be the war paint guy squirming around with an alligator in the green colored water. Then all of a sudden you see this rubber alligator head popping up. And then you see the swimming pool chlorine type blue water. Doesn't really mix and match well. It's like clashing colors, I guess you could say. But in the trailer, they just show the third and fourth shot. They don't show the first and second shot. And so the guy gets his hand chopped off. That looks fake too. By the alligator jaws. So I didn't think it was unintentionally funny. Some people thought it was. Like I said, it got really low rating on IMDb, just probably because of the animal cruelty type scenes. And the funny thing is, when they first go to Bolivia, supposedly, we go to the poorest part, and they say, "Oh, this is such a glum, depressing place. Everybody's got this depressed look on their face." And then they proceed to shoot the children who are all smiling, and having fun playing and being like normal kids. I guess that belies the fact that they don't have any food. I don't know. Anyway, um, I thought I was going to hate this movie, especially after the African first half of it, or the so-called African. I mean, Florida Everglades part. That part was really poorly done, I thought, and extremely low budget. Not very funny in terms of technical ineptness on the part of the director. But I thought the second part was better. Like I said, I'm more interested in Inca culture or whatever's left of it. Apparently, they say, well, these Incas are Christian, but they still practice some old taboo religion from the Inca race or whatever. And Inca was this great conquering people until the Europeans came. And there's a lot of overhyped stuff like that in this movie. Like they talk about the urban jungle is worse than the jungle in the game of survival out there in the rainforest or the African plains or whatever. So it's kind of anti-human progress type thing. I guess Arthur Davis is trying to prove that he's a bona fide cultural anthropologist. It's kind of silly, actually, and kind of contributes to the overall lack of credibility on his part. But anyways, not a great flick. I wouldn't encourage you to check it out unless you're a Mondo fan. This is one of the better ones. But other than that, don't waste your time. Laters.